let's talk about evaluation. So, evaluation. That's what the smart people say, that's how we evolve the most when working, when doing anything. When writing, when thinking about how you work, when playing, when doing anything. Because by evaluating, you find out what works and what doesn't work for you. Now, evaluation can come in many forms. It can come in many sizes. So, we can start with, again, let's take an example in esports. That's the easy one. That's what I've been worked most in. So, there's a term called backcasting. Now, backcasting. You might think, well, what is that? That makes no sense. I have never heard that word before. What does it mean? Okay, well, backcasting. It's an amazing thing that's like the opposite of forecasting. Now, forecasting you've probably heard that before from businesses. Forecasting is when you look forward and try and predict what's going to happen in the future. Backcasting is the opposite. You look at, where do I want to go? I want to be here. Now, to get here, how do I get here? And then you look at, okay, well then I need this, and I need this, and I need this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And suddenly you have a roadmap of how you can try and get to the end point, with a lot of milestones in between on the way through. Now, for teams, the backcasting way is an extremely good way of doing it, but you should set it up in some kind of a bit differently. So what I would say that you should do is look at the goals you want to do, and then look at the milestones. Okay, so you can do like the backcasting aspect of it, right? But you see, you look at, okay, well, what is your personal goal overall? What's the next one? And so you do the backcasting element, right? But the important part is that you remember to reward yourself every single time you've hit a milestone. And don't be too hard on yourself. And remember, it's okay to take breaks. Because when you take breaks, that's when you think about what you've done and you start to reflect and evaluate upon your own performance. And that's where you almost make the most improvement. That's so important to think about. So remember, don't be too hard on yourself when it comes to the evaluation. And maybe you are impatient and maybe you don't get to your milestones quick enough. Well, that's where you have to really be good at giving yourself a break, and then try and put it on the side and then evaluate and think and think and think. But when you think it, the great part is, or the best part you can do is write it down. Because when you write it down, you can have some kind of diary where you look at the entire journey that you've been through and see how much you've learned and how you got through this journey until the first milestone. And then you can see, and then you have a piece of document that tells you, well, I have done this many things and have not even given myself a reward yet. Is it result based? Because if you do result based analysis, there's a chance you might never become good enough to reach the first milestone. Or not result-based analysis, but result-based evaluation. Now, result-based evaluation, that's where some of the, a lot of potential problems can happen. Now, what is result-based evaluation? Well, that's basically you looking at, what result have I had in this period of time? Are we happy with that? No. Okay, what do we need to do to get better? Well, if you want results, you can just play in lower leagues and then get it, maybe attend more LANs. You should probably get some that way. No, what you need to look at is your progression evaluation. Look at how good have you become from 2 months ago to today. What have we done today that's so good, that's been so good, that we that I've become a better player, a better person today than I was 2 months ago? What did I do on the way, right? How did I practice? Do I have a pre-game ritual? Well, that's where the diary comes in, and it's a great tool for doing that. We have talked about backcasting now. Your backcasting, yeah, Great way of doing it in esports and in an organization where you focus on where do you want to be in a dream scenario in the future. Right. Okay. Well, when you've done the backcasting, you have to look at, well, how do you reach the different milestones? How do you have to work to get to the different milestones? You might not know it to begin with. That's why you do the diary. So you find out, well, whatever I do and whatever works for me and what works good for me, that's what I do. And that's what I keep doing. And that's why you have the diary. So you always remember yourself. Remember for yourself, well, I go this way. I do this. I do that. This worked well. We're going to continue doing that. Okay? This didn't work well. Okay, well, let's put it to the side. Maybe that's too early. This is for the individual player, for the individual person going, well, this is how you do it to reach your goals. Okay? Well, from an organization's point of view, you can have it in many different layers. Like, do you want to play in the biggest division? Okay, well, if you want to play in the biggest division, you look at, well, what coaches are available? What milestones do we need to hit as an organization for us to be able to give our players the enough resources for them to be able to get up to this level? Are the players good enough to get up to this level? Okay, well, when you've done that and you've figured that out, the next point is you look at the entire team. So you have the 5 individuals doing their own evaluation, looking at what they need to be better at. And then you have like the coach and the management looking at, well, what is it the team needs to be better at together with the in-game leader. You look at, well, the team needs to be better at this on this map. They need to be better on this and on that map. And this and this and this. Okay, write it down. Write the milestones down. Write the processes down. The goals, that the milestones you're trying to reach. And then as the individual way as well, look at, okay, we try practicing this way. Okay, what worked this way? That's the coach's job. You look at, well, what worked when we practice this way. Okay, well, if that worked and that worked, then we do it. Then we continue doing that. Maybe we should add some more onto it, but never add too much, because then you just get overwhelmed. Okay, but look at the variables, the elements that work for you, work for the team, work for the players as a coach. And then you look at, okay, that worked. We're going to continue doing that and doing it that way until you're satisfied enough with your progression that you can say, okay, you always need to keep it up and have it become a reliable source of consistent performance, right? And then you need to maintain that thing all the way through. Maintain the strengths that you have, and when you work on the weaknesses, remember to maintain the strengths. And when the weaknesses become strengths, you also need to remember maintaining those strengths and then finding new weaknesses to work on. There's always more to work on, always, but it's really important that you focus on, well, what are the goals that you need to focus on first. Now, a good way of thinking of this is trying to look at it in a way where you say, is this a big problem or is this a small problem? Now, the smaller problems are quicker to solve. Maybe not solve, but at least work with. Because you might not solve a problem at all, but you might give the perfect opportunities to work with this kind of problem, and then keep on working with it, and then let it become a force for good. But you can never say the problem is solved when it comes to performance, because it can always reoccur. So it's never 100% solved, but you can maybe when you're satisfied enough with your progression on the problem, you can say, well, that's great, now we look at something else, and then you shelve it for a bit. But remember maintenance, and then focus on the short and easy wins first, the short and easy goals that you can complete and that you can reach, and the small problems that you can shelve later. So you can work towards and try and finish those goals. Okay. Now, when you've done the short-term goals, maybe, and fix the small-term problems, maybe some of the long-terms and big problems that you have might be easier to fix now, because you have fixed all the small ones. Because the small ones also gives you small wins, which helps the players and which helps the coaches become more satisfied with the work that they're doing, because they can feel the impact they're doing. Instead of taking on a giant project to begin with, you look at these small things that you can do first and foremost, and then you look at it, and then you work towards it, and then you work towards making that a reality. to sum it up super quick, backcasting. Backcasting for the individual, for the team, for the coach, for the organization, for the actors involved, for the everyday person, for everyone. Look at the backcasting. Look at where you want to go when it comes to the performance, right? Performance aspect of it. Secondly, remember to reward yourself. Remember to reward yourself whenever you hit a milestone and you reach a goal that you're satisfied with, and then move further afterwards, okay? That goal can be anything. Thirdly, remember to give yourself time and cut yourself some slack. If you're really hardworking, that's really good. And this is mostly for the hardworking, impatient people. If you are hardworking and impatient, you need to remember to give yourself a break and take a breather. Because if you're working 100 hours, if you're playing 100 hours every 2 weeks, you don't have time to do anything else, right? Remember, like, that's where you need to take a break, maybe for 2 days. Just sit and and do something different. Reflect on what you're doing and evaluate on what it is you think you can do better, and suddenly you'll get this aha moment, right? And when you get this aha moment, that's maybe where you find the key for you to come up to the next level. But that means going away from the PC. That means not sitting on the PC and playing a lot of other games. No. It means go out, get some air, do something else. Anything. You can go and get you drunk with your friends. You can go and play bowling. You can go and take a hike. Like, whatever you do. Doesn't matter. But not in front of the PC. And you need some kind of movement in your body, okay? And then when you reach like the goals or the problems that you have, work on the small problems first and get the short, easy wins. That's gonna help you maintain your motivation to keep going and become better and have an easier time reaching your final goal. Short, easy wins on the short problems, that can help you a lot. It might even help you on the long run with the big problems that needs to be solved. So remember that, and then you should be able to look at when it comes to evolving yourself as a person and as a player and coming up to the next level.